It was too epic and needed to play it twice. Oh my goodness. Hello to you out in internet land this evening, and welcome to another rendition of Quiz, a TTRPG that is full of drama, triumph, a little bit of innuendos. What am I kidding? A lot of bit of innuendos and a lot of fun. Welcome here to Halfling Wizard Productions. I am your Cube Master, Mikey, and tonight I'm excited to be back. It's been a hot minute. It's been like a couple weeks, but we are back to continue on in our lovely story. I'm so excited to be here. And of course, I am not alone this evening. Joining me this evening, of course, is one of my players, Mr. JT himself, playing our lovable Phineas T. Lockwood. How you doing tonight, my friend?
Not all too bad. It's actually been a pretty chaotic week, but you know what? Now it's time to unwind the chaos playing queers.
It most certainly is. So, just a little bit of behind the scenes stuff. There's lots of things happening as we are approaching the summer. So, people are out at graduation parties. Some people are dealing with some other things. But we may have people be popping in later. And if not, that is okay because me and JT are going to have a good time this evening. But before we get into all the goodness, I do want to, do what I normally do here and kind of give you a little bit of a preview and a forewarning. So, tonight we are be giving chapter 2 in our campaign, which is titled Resonance Rewritten. We probably won't get into too much of the heavy stuff this evening as we are just beginning the chapter, but just to let you know that this chapter is going to be touching upon things about, control and identity, all that good stuff. At least the beginning part of tonight's session is going to have our lovable character Phineas having to deal with the fallout of what happened last episode, which was some very heavy stuff. So if you have a sensitivity to trauma and physical violence and just all sorts of things about, in regards to all of that, please, we love you, but it is okay if you need to take a break and then come back. So this is your trigger and your spoiler warning for this evening. We love you, we care about you, and we want you to watch this while making sure that your peace of mind is also in our thought process as well. But without further ado, let's just jump straight into everything. So, last time on Queers, we had a little bit of kind of a character spotlight side story with Phineas. So, Phineas was invited by his friend Miguel to accompany him to take his younger brother Vincent to the mall to go see essentially what is basically the equivalent of a Japanese children's stage show. So very Power Rangery, Featherman, like it's all a lot of good stuff. And so, of course, because these two are friends, they gave each other a little bit of grief beforehand, but Miguel and Phineas ended up getting in the car with Vincent. They go to the mall. Everything is great. The stage show starts. But then things get a little weird as green mist begins to fill the stage and bringing all the props to life and turning our prop toys and costumings into very creepy and eerie versions of these toys. So, like rusted robots, ballerina dolls with parts missing or, in the wrong places. We had Jack in the Boxes that wanted to stabby everything. So, it was nuts. So, unbeknownst to Miguel, after throwing Vincent for JT to get him out of safety, JT, still being quite new to his, queer powers, decided to send Vincent ahead to go get some help and then go into his full hero form to help his friend Miguel fight off the toys that were, terrorizing the mall. The two actually made a pretty good tag team and they were able to fight their way to the stage to get to what was controlling all of this. But upon reaching the stage, both Miguel and Phineas were met with a hooded figure couldn't tell by any of the physical characteristics, didn't get a look at the face. Miguel went in head first, being the, pig-headed, strong-headed person that he is, and he unfortunately was met with a swift kick to the gut, which was, very abnormally strong, even for a normal person's standards. And this cleared Miguel off the stage, knocking into the props off stage, and, not responding to Phineas's calls afterwards. Phineas, within his hero form, tried his best to maintain composure, but unfortunately, due to having to witness firsthand of what happened to his friend Miguel, he tried to fire his arrow, but it was no use. The Our lovable hero was having a full-on panic attack, and after witnessing all this go down, the hooded figure just told him that this was an interesting test, and then of course creepily said bye bye before going away. Ugh, it's so creepy. After checking on Miguel and Vincent coming back to stay with Miguel as Phineas slash Kitsune decided to get the heck out of Dodge so secret identity can be intact. Phineas met up with Miguel days afterwards to kind of talk about what had happened. There's a little bit of some guilt that Phineas is carrying around. Miguel feels guilty for not being able to protect Vincent or Phineas, but after coming to terms and talking about it, the two of them end up spending a nice, lovely evening together in the park with Vincent to kind of repair the traumatic bonding experience that they shared together. So this is actually where we're going to pick up. So I will say that it's been about a week or two since that mall incident, Phineas, and since you and Miguel were at the park kind of talking about what had happened. And within this 2 weeks, how do I put this? Miguel, his heart's always in the right place. He always tries to do the best he can. However, now that you have a superhero identity, things get a little bit more complicated, especially since the last 2 weeks, while Miguel has been taking it easy because he is still recovering from his injuries. He decided to play basically man in the chair, investigating like what happened, any similar instances. He is basically the man in the chair now. So I was just like, oh boy, this should be fun. And so you're kind of caught in the middle where you don't want to discourage Miguel, but you're also not giving him too much information because there might be a possibility that Miguel might go down a certain path, which would take your superhero identity out in the open. And as another great superhero we all know and love, but I will not say here so we don't get copyrighted, with great power comes great responsibility. So the last 2 weeks, Miguel has been sending you text messages and FaceTime calling you to give you like random updates about what he's discovering and everything. But that has been the last 2 weeks. So Phineas, you are currently at your house. You are just decompressing, whatever that looks like for you. And then, right on cue, your phone begins to ring with the FaceTime. And of course, it is Miguel who is once again calling you for whatever reason. So, should be interesting.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up?
How you feeling?
Well, I mean, I'm doing better given the fact that, I got kicked in the gut. But, doctor says that I only have about a couple more days to go. I think most of the bruising is gone.
Nice, nice.
Um, I can move around a little bit more, but I'm still wanting to be careful. So I'm following the doctor's advice and kind of just not really doing much of anything, which sucks.
Th- Yeah,
I,
that would be a little boring. But that's good though.
yeah, yeah. But anyways, so I should be good to go in about a week or so, and then I can start, slowly getting back into everything. Man, I really miss my kickboxing sparring time, but hopefully I'll be able to get back into that, and then I'll be better prepared for next time.
I hope there's not going to be a next time, but yes, if it does happen, you'll at least be better prepared.
Yes, I will be very, very better prepared. I'm also hoping there's not a next time, but Phineas, all the stuff that I have been able to research and kind of compile in all of this is some very interesting stuff. It seems that whatever went down at the mall that happened when we were there,
Mhm.
it's not just an isolated incident. So I'm very curious to find out more about all of this.
Interesting. What have you found so far?
Well, I haven't really found too much of anything. The only things that I've been able to find out is that, again, these types of incidences are not as rare as I initially thought. I thought this was like some sort of random event, but apparently there have been other places, across the country right now where similar things are happening. Like, for instance, hang on, and give me one sec, and then you just see Miguel. His phone is in front of him, and he's on his laptop. Is like, hang on, I'm gonna send you this file real quick. And so he sends you a file, you open it up, and it's just a poorly drawn map that Miguel has drawn that shows like in big red stars like different places across the country. And but it is interactive, so as you click on the star, there was a similar instance where there was sentient fast food at a local like burger joint in like California. Then there was a random, event that happened in Texas and New York, and just all these places where there have been reports of like sentient creatures or even like different things coming to life or being moved on their own, as well as like people in superhero suits and all that good stuff.
Interesting.
And so, as you kind of close this email, Miguel goes, it's happening all over the country, which is very interesting. And the only other thing that I've been able to find out is that these superheroes of some sort are outside of their costuming, because like I was telling you about Kitsune Man or whatever, but it seems that they're fighting something, and I haven't been able to connect the dots quite yet. But give me a little bit of time, and I may or may not be able to do so. I'm not, you know me, I'm not a genius, but I love me a good mystery. So this should be an interesting one to crack.
That is very interesting. And there is a lot of places.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what else I can find, but I'm sorry, I've been talking a lot about what I've been doing. So, how have you been since the whole thing? I know when we talked at the park that we were both kind of on the upward trajectory of kind of coming to terms with what happened. So,
It, it, it
are you still having a little bit of the nightmares about it or what?
I mean, it's you can't shake it. Like it's there constantly, and I don't quite know how to get rid of it yet. Uh, which is odd because typically I can like just pass over it, sleep through it, drink around it, whatever it may be. I can't seem to shake this. And I don't know, I gotta do something. Like, whew.
Yeah, I mean, it's it was a tough situation, and I mean, we both did what we thought was right, and you know what? Despite me getting some injuries, at least you were okay and Vincent was okay.
Truth.
That's all that matters to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm extremely happy at the sheer fact that he's safe. So I mean, I guess hats off to this Kitsune man or whatever his name is, because whew, that was hairy.
No, it definitely was. And, honestly, I'm kind of interested. I would like to try to get in contact with him. How I'm going to go about doing that, I don't know. But I think I want to thank him in person because he really not only helped us out, but he really took care of my brother. And that means the world to me. I mean, like I said before, you two are outside of my ma. You two are the center of my existence. Like, you two are everything to me.
Yeah.
So I need. Anyways, hopefully my investigation will lead me to figure out how to make contact with him. I wonder if I have to. No, now I'm thinking too much comic booky. Do you think he would appear if I put a signal in the sky, maybe in the shape of a fox? I don't know. What do you think?
That would be entertaining to watch, but I don't know. Has there been anything? Have you, at least in your research, seen anything like that? Like, is there? Do people use the bat signal to get these people to help out the bad guys? Like, what? I don't understand.
I haven't really found any of these other places that summon these heroes using some sort of signal, like the comic books that we read when we were younger.
Oh,
Um, or even now, actually, I still read them. However, oh, there is one thing that I was able to find in terms of, our experience with all of this. It seems like this Kitsune man is not the only one. There are like random boards on the internet, on the Reddit, uh, that are. Yes, I'm trying to get copyrighted here, so you're going to hear me say things very weirdly. So on the Reddit, on askbeeves.com, the internet forums have been seeing that there may or may not be more heroes like Kitsune Man in this city. But there's also been some reports of some like weird activity in Chrysalis Bay as well. It's a quite fascinating stuff, but
hmm.
nothing more than just the online forums, and I haven't been able to find any concrete proof or concrete info, I should say.
Yeah, not like you. I mean, it, Reddit has the ability to give good info, but I am a very strong proponent of trust but verify. So
Right.
yeah, that would be interesting to see what other groups, like, if there's more than just this Kitsune man, like, how many are there?
Yeah,
That would
I mean,
be. I'm a little intrigued now.
I am too. But anyways, I'll let you go, man. I can't really do much of moving around, so I'm gonna continue. I mean, conspiracy theorists and find more information if I can.
What better way to do it than on the internet?
Very, very true. All right, I'll talk to you later. Oh, before I forget, are we still on for meeting up for dinner at my house on Friday?
Yes, I would not miss it. I love the cooking. Your mom makes good foods.
Oh yeah, you already know her. She just got this new recipe book from my abuela, so she wants to try out one of the newer recipes. So what perfect way than to have you, me gringo, and try it out for us?
Oh, grandma cookbooks. Yes, let's go.
Which I'll wait until Friday because we've been friends for a while, and I still don't know a lot about yours. But that's okay. You can come hang out with us. I'll see you Friday then, my friend. Ooh,
Sure.
I got a notification. I'll call you back later. Bye. And he just immediately hangs up the phone. FaceTime call. It's like, "Woo-meow."
Oh boy.
Hey
Boy.
Miguel, what are we gonna do with this dude?
Yeah. Seriously.
For reals. So, Phineas, as you finish up your call with Miguel, you again find yourself decompressing in your home as best as you can. I mean, it's been a couple of weeks since everything that went down at the mall, and you are doing a little bit better. You have kind of come to terms with what happened, but you know what? I'm gonna let you do this. So, Phineas, within the last couple of weeks, what has Phineas done to not only come to terms with what happened, but what has he been doing superhero wise to quote unquote get stronger?
Well, I mean, Phineas would end up a good chunk of the time like trying to find new music to listen to, or you know, kind of geek it up just a little bit, and find a new game or a new TTRPG or something like that. And with these newer found powers, it's been interesting because like we have all of these things that we can do, and yet Phineas feels like it the coolest thing that he's got right now is the fact that he's got this huge club and like partial samurai armor. But like there's like Warren has the ability to like draw things into existence, and um I just he's like, when am I going to get any like cool extra powers? Like, do I have those? And so it like you said, without going into copyright infringement, he's doing like the equivalent of like, concentrating on things and, trying to look within himself. And he notices though that when he is around a lot of nature, plants, greenery, stuff like that, that he seems to feel more empowered than when he's like not. And so it's clicking, like he's kind of having that pull, that draw, but he doesn't know how to get to it yet. And so it's kind of driving him nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I totally feel that too. So it is definitely it's definitely a changing experience. Again, it has been a very eventful shoot. I would say a month and a half for you and the rest of the crew. Coming to what started as a normal day ended up being going into some sort of other dimension, getting these superhero powers and learning that you had the ability to enter people's memories. You fought a magician in a clown's funhouse. You found out there's a whole government organization looking at these incidents involving these heroes. You you got a glimpse of something when you and Miguel were at the mall and all of that good stuff. And it's been an eventful month and a half for you. And you know
Yeah.
what? In the words of Charlotte's Web slash Babe, you done good, pig. You done good.
Yay.
You done good. So you go about the rest of your day. The evening comes, you go to sleep, and as you kind of fall asleep, you find yourself within the dream world, just while not as visceral and as vivid as the last couple of weeks have been, you still have from time to time, you still end up having, the dreams involving what went down at the mall and all that good stuff. And so, like normal, you find yourself within the mall, and you find yourself being, again, it depends. Sometimes your dreams have you at the food court, sometimes you're at the amphitheater, sometimes you end up finding yourself in all of this. And this time within your dream, you end up finding yourself kind of again in a toy aisle, because again, you were fighting the toys. And in this singular toy aisle, you happen to manage to just continue what seems to be walking down a very long, cold, and not very vivid, full of life or color kind of aisle. And as you continue walking, you are then met with the same hooded figure who is just standing there, and you just continue to stare and stare and stare. And then the words echo throughout your this dream, the same words that this hooded figure mentioned to you when you were fighting at the mall, that it was an interesting test, and that he thought that you would be more of a challenge before disappearing in the dream, and thus you waking up again too.
Oh, good lord. That is how just. Oh, I need to find this guy in a bad way because I need to know why he thinks I was going to be more of a challenge. That is okay.
Yeah. Poor Phineas, man. He's going through it.
He's going to have some
Oh,
baggage by the end of this whole thing.
that is very true, but you know what? We're going to get through it together. Uh, I feel sad, but I'm also excited, but also I'm forewarning right now, things are going to get a lot heavier as we continue this campaign for poor little Phineas. But Phineas, a new morning has arrived, and with the resolve that you have in your heart, you have decided that you are going to continue to fight the good fight and also try to see if you can get more information about this figure that incapacitated your friend. And we're going to be doing a little bit of a flash forward. So, 2 months later. So, 2 months have passed by. You've been in contact with the rest of the team. You guys occasionally meet up to talk about, anything new information wise. You're also keeping your radar as you have decided to go the vigilantes is not the correct word, but essentially you are vigilantes. You've decided to do things of your own accord and to work as a team on your own. But of course, you do still have your new friend in the order, Miss Carmen, who you guys had the conversation with on her airship. And you guys have decided over the last couple months to see if you could find any new information, taking care of small things. It's very like I just became a superhero, so most of my superhero adventuring has been helping old ladies cross the street or getting cats out of trees, kind of things. Nothing too crazy has happened quite yet.
Yeah, you got to
Everybody,
start somewhere.
yeah, everybody's got to start somewhere. And then, of course, you have been searching for more information to the best of your ability. Again, Miguel as continues to tell you more information, things that he finds about all this. So, again, 2 months have passed by. You are on your way over. It is a typical Friday evening. You are on your way over, as you normally are almost every single week, for family dinner with who, you might ask? Well, Miguel and his family. So, again, for you, Phineas, when you moved to Chrysalis Bay, again, Miguel was one of the first people that, you connected with. You two somehow, as opposite ends of the spectrum in personality and everything else, you both are. You guys make very good team and make a very good pair of friends. And since becoming friends, even from the first moment that Miguel met you, he always be like, you know what? You look like you can use a meal. So why don't you stop by my house? Even though it was your first time interacting and he invited some random stranger invited you to his house for dinner. But you took a chance, and now it has become a staple where if you don't go there every Friday, it kind of feels weird. But you stand on the precipice of this cute little abode. So Miguel's house is very standard. It is very it's very it's very New Mexico, Arizona, parts of Southern California, Puebla style of housing. So it's very like square shaped, and it looks like it's been here since the olden days in the deserts and stuff like that. So very Puebla style, 18th century, architecture and all that good stuff. It's a great time. So as you knock on the door politely, you just stand there for a little bit, and immediately you can hear the raucous noise coming from behind the door. And as the door opens, standing in a very typical kind of like floral muumuu is Abuelita. And Abuelita, of course, Abuelita, very tall, very big. She is like 3 feet taller than, well, you and Miguel. She's a very big woman, but she's got a lot of heart. And as soon as she opens the door and sees that it's you, Phineas, she's like, "Ay, mijo, come here. You are so skinny. Give me a hug." And she just like picks you up off your feet and just gives you a ginormous hug. It's like, "Ay, mijo, I'm so happy you're here again."
Thanks for having me again.
And of course, she's giving you grandma kisses on the forehead. She's like, "Mwah." And she puts you down. She's like, Van, come on inside. Let's come on. Everybody's here. I'm glad that you're here. So, out of game mode really, really quickly. So, going forward for this next scene, for those of you who are watching at home, this is a very typical Latin household. This is from my own personal experience, so you are getting an insight of what a typical Latin household looks like. So I will, from here on out, I will be going back and forth between English and Spanish, but don't worry, I will do my best to translate the things that I say in Spanish. So for my non-Spanish native speakers, you will understand what is being said. So back in game. So Phineas, you already know the drill. You come in, you're used to it. A typical Friday dinner at the household here is anything but normal, but like in the best way possible. You walk in through the door. To your left in the kitchen, you see Abuelita and Miguel's mom throwing down, as well as a couple of the tias. Out in the living room, you see the tios, the cousins, and everybody watching, football. Off in the backyard, you see all the little kids playing in the backyard. And of course, you see Miguel be running around the backyard getting tackled by like five of his primos and primas, including his younger brother Vincent. So, you know, you are always invited to the Friday dinner for this family. You have come to learn that you are good at bringing the, cutlery and things like that. You're like, I volunteer for the plates and cups. And so that has become your thing. Because last time you tried to cook in the nicest way possible, Abuelita's like, oh, mijo, you need more seasoning on the. Listen, anybody who has had dinner with a typical like Mexican grandma and the Mexican families knows that if you try to cook and it's not abuelita's dishes, she will not say no, but she's also going to put extra seasoning in it for everybody so it's an edible. Trust me, I have had that happen to me and a couple of my friends. It's been a great time. So you navigate your way through, the all the chisme that's going on in the kitchen with the ladies talking about what's been going on. You navigate your way through the cousins and the tios and maybe a couple of the drunk tios as well, who are yelling at the TV with the sports going on, and you find yourself going into the backyard where Miguel again is getting attacked by all the cousins and his brother. The kids disperse when they see you. They're like, "Oh my god!" Well, Vincent's like, "Uncle Theo Phineas is here," and then runs up and just like gives you a big old hug. Now, Vincent can only go up to your waist, Phineas, so he just like hugs you by the waist side.
What's going on, big man?
I'm good. I'm having a great time. I'm happy that you're here. I was gonna ask you something. Again, this is like a 9, 10 year old. Just like, you know what? Hang on. Hey, Get over here. And then Vincent runs off with the other cousins who are playing on the other side of the yard. Miguel gets up off the ground, dusts himself off, and sits on like one of the lawn chairs. It's like, man, I may have missed a couple of weeks of kickboxing classes after my injuries, but let me tell you, these 10-year-olds, they're a good workout, I swear, playing with them. I just wish they wanted to play something else instead of being a giant kaiju attacking the city.
Yeah, but kids are gonna do that though. Like, that's the new thing is everybody's got to attack the kaiju. Yeah. So unfortunately, you're it, my guy.
Yeah, yeah. But that's okay. We'll be up fine. Anyways, well, I'm glad that you could make it. I mean, granted, you're always here every Friday, but now that I think about it, I think in the 2 years we've been friends, I don't think you have ever missed a Friday dinner.
Uh, no. Um, the food brings me back. I mean, I guess you're a pretty close second, but
Listen, Phineas, it's okay. If you're here for the food primarily, that is okay. I understand. I won't get mad because same. Oh my goodness, but whew, man, you know, I'll be honest. Sometimes I wonder to myself, I'm surprised that we could fit so many people in our tiny little house. But it feels really nice to be surrounded by a bunch of people that, despite the differences and the arguments, especially Theo Juan over there, who he continues to tell me that uh I need to find somebody, I need to settle down, I'm not getting it, which is very surprising because usually I would think that would be from my tias, especially Tia Carmen, who's a little, we love her, but she's a little bit bougie. But surprisingly, she's more understand. Anyways, Phineas, every time you come over here, you get embraced within the culture, so to speak. So you hear all the family dynamics and the chisme. Miguel tells you who the first day you came here, you literally spent an hour with Miguel as he ran through everybody, how everybody was related. It took you a little bit, but you figured it out. And as soon as he mentions it was Theo Juan who was talking about, again, for Miguel to get out there and find somebody, he's like, you're just like, I know. I know. And it's like, right? Anyways, but despite all that, it's really nice to be here with family. And I tell you this all the time, Phineas, but you are also part of this. Though I will say, if Tia Dulcie tries to get you to drink her, latest kombucha drink, run. Because trust me, just run.
oh, I've never had good luck with kombucha anyways, so it works out.
So Miguel just gives a little bit of a laugh and then puts his arm around you as you two are sitting next to each other. It's just like, just imagine all of this can be yours. I don't know why I quoted the Lion King, but hey, you know what, Phineas? You get what I'm saying.
Or if the price is right, but I'm pretty much skint broke, so there's that.
That's also very, very true. It's very, very it's rough out here in this economy. Um, but yeah, so as Miguel kind of composes himself and has had this small conversation with you, he gets a little bit more quiet, more docile, if you will, is the best thing. Despite all the noise that's going on, somehow you two have managed to find a quiet spot where you can hear yourselves think. And Miguel kind of just looks at you with a not a too serious tone, but more of a academic temperament, more inquiring and inquisiting. So, Phineas, you know what I'm going to ask you, right? And I know we never like to talk about this, but I know we've only known each other for 2 years, but how have I not met anybody from your side of the family yet?
Well, unfortunately, to meet anybody on my side of the family, you're going to have to grab a plane ticket and go, and your passport, because they're not from here.
Do you want to give me more than that? Like, if perhaps if we were to, I don't know, visit them one day, could you give me a specific geographical location? But if you don't want to, it's fine. I don't want to push.
No worries. So, uh, my uh, my family's more in the UK area of places, and we don't really talk much anymore. That's the whole reason why I'm here on the West Coast is because we had a falling out, um, and it was pretty nuclear.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm I'm sorry, man. I know it's not a fun question to answer, and I always keep bugging you about it, but
It was
how do I
bound to
say?
happen sooner or later.
I guess. I guess what I'm trying to say, Phineas, is that I do hope if things align the way that they're supposed to, I would get a chance to meet your family. I mean, you've already met mine, and you're pretty much a part of this one since you're here every Friday. But
It is true. It
I,
there are your family is far warmer than even any you could pick any one of your family members, and one of them probably will outshine my entire family in warmth.
oh well, we'll see. you know, yeah, I think I got very lucky. Yeah, I think I got very lucky with my family. Um, yeah, I'm just very happy, and I'm very lucky that I get to be a part of a big family. I didn't know it at the time, and I thought it would be a little bit longer too, especially when my ama when she adopted me and Vincent. But despite that fact, she's never treated me or Vincent any different. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just and you. Phineas, you see that Miguel is getting a little bit more sentimental and more vulnerable in this moment. You two have talked about this before. Miguel is not blood related to this family. In fact, he was adopted when he was 12, and then Vincent came along when he was just a baby. But Miguel and Vincent have grown up with each other. Now, of course, Miguel is a lot older than Vincent is, but even still. And he also had, you two have also had this conversation before where Miguel's mom, who he calls Ama, is the adoptive mother, and she's basically a foster mother. She's fostered many and many children over her years. From the small. She even did it when she was in Mexico too, from the orphanages and in the churches. And then when she moved to the States, she continued to do so as being a foster mom. And then eventually, Miguel came along. She fell in love, adopted him. Vincent, same thing. And so, despite not being blood related, Miguel, Vincent, and their ama are, you know, family. And Miguel considers all his tias and tios, even though he's not biologically blood related to them, as part of the family. So, just to get a little bit of context, I know we're doing a lot of character development on both sides here. So, just a little bit of context. but
Of
yeah,
course.
but Phineas, you do see that throughout this conversation, Miguel has kind of gotten a little bit more contemplative and a little bit more vulnerable and kind of a little bit more open to his emotions at the moment. And for it is very rare, but that clownish and comedic behavior kind of just subsides a little bit. And ever so often, you get to see this more softer side of Miguel. And he just looks at you and says, I'm really glad that you're here, Phineas, and just kind of cracks a big old smile.
It is it is nice to be invited back to places, uh, especially when I don't hear any negatives when I leave. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Um, we're gonna have a separate conversation later because Lord knows I love my family. I really really do. But my cousin, mi prima Sophia, I need her to stop. I need her to stop reading these. No, she, everybody needs to read books because books are important. I just need her to stop taking her romance novels and trying to turn them into a reality. Um, because you know what, we'll save that conversation for later because she may or may not be trying to get certain parties together at this party, and I don't know if that is going to work, especially since those conversations have not been had. But yeah, I'll tell you more a little bit later. But oh, there's one other thing I do need to talk to you, but we'll save it for after dinner. It's about my research, but I could smell all the food, and both me and you know if we don't get in that line first, cousin Hector is going to take all the food because he doesn't know what you can eat for the first round means. So we should probably get in that kitchen right now.
Yeah, we should.
Alrighty. All right, let's go. I'm not going to say anything because if the kids see that we're leaving, then they're going to run in and then we're going to have to fight children, and I'm not trying to fight children today. And as soon as he says that, Vincent sees that the two of you are getting up to go inside, and Vincent's like, "Dinner's ready!" And I'm like, Miguel's like, "Oh crap!" Grabs your hand. Phineas is like, "Let's go!" and just drags you
Run.
inside to the kitchen. Oh my goodness! So you all sit down. Everybody gets a plate. Ama and Abuelita yell at Hector for trying to take more food right now because everybody needs to get a plate first before everything happens. Somehow within this tiny living room, there you always are amazed, Phineas, that they've managed to fit like four long tables to make it like one, and then of course to the side the kids have a kid table as well, so all the little ones are sitting there. Everybody's enjoying, sitting down. So Phineas, this is Mikey here doing a little bit of assuming, but Phineas, you are not the person that is, would say, a religious person, but you do appreciate the custom. So of course, Miguel and his family, they all sit down, they do a prayer over the food, and then everybody decides to eat everything. So dinner goes fine, everybody's having a good time. Somehow despite everybody being, chatty and everything, just a very lively conversation. And then, of course, as the night goes on, all the uncles begin playing cards, dominoes. All the tias and abuelita and all them are in the kitchen cleaning up and packing to go plates for everybody. And then, of course, abuelita, knowing you, Phineas, gives you a little bit of extra so you can have some food over the next couple of days at home. So, as everything is kind of settling down, you and Miguel kind of go outside. All the kids have kind of gone inside. They're playing in the playroom inside the house. It's getting a little bit later, so a lot of them are starting to knock out on the couches and things like that at these big family get togethers. And you and Miguel find yourself kind of finally in a more quieted space outside on, in the backyard patio in the lawn chairs, and you two are just enjoying. The only sounds that are outside right now is of course your two's conversation, as well as the nights of the crickets and the air of the evening beginning to kind of with a golden orange orangey hue kind of cascading behind the horizon line as the sun is going down and the moon is coming back up. And Miguel looks at you, Phineas is like, "So I wanted to talk to you about something. So it has to do with my little research into these," looks around, "superheroes," as he whispers it to you like it's a big old secret.
All right, what you got?
So I still don't have proper names of things. So I may or may not have taken some liberties with naming certain things, but bear with me. So here's what I've been able to find out. So apparently, according to some information that I've been able to find, I'm still trying to confirm how much of it is true, But what I've been able to find is that these heroes are using something called the rainbow empathy. I don't know what that entirely means. I'm still waiting on somebody I reach out to get all that information. And apparently, these manifestations or these things that are coming alive or just twisted creatures like the ones we found at the mall, or I think they said, what was the word? It started with an I. I think they said it was something called ignorance, though I also don't know what that entirely means, because when I think of the word, it feels like more of an intangible thing than a tangible thing, but I digress. But here's the important thing. So apparently there has been some activity here in Chrysalis Bay with, some of this ignorance popping up. Of course, I haven't found much of anything, but don't ask me my sources, because I would be in very trouble if I gave away my sources and all this stuff. But apparently there has been some increase in activity over at the suburban district, especially at the Chrysalis Bay High School. And it seems that there have been reports of some very abnormal activity from faculty, from students, and I'm trying, I guess, in all intents and purposes, I'm a reporter on these things, though I'm not a very good writer, honestly. But that's beside the point. It seems that Chrysalis Bay has its own hotbed of activity, but for some reason, it's not getting noticed on a grander scale like from across the country. But it seems that there's something's going on in the high school. So, and of course, since I work there, I think this might be my opportunity to see if I can play Sherlock Holmes and figure out what's going on. And who knows, I might actually get a chance to meet Kitsune Man again and actually get to thank him in person this time. I'm sorry.
Interesting.
Yeah, it really is. I'm sorry, Phineas. I've been babbling all long on this. So what do you think?
This is I can't believe that you've gotten this much information. That's incredible. Like, so, okay, hang on. I'm trying to wrap my head around this here. So, rainbow empathy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what these heroes use, or that's what they are.
From my information, it seems that their powers draw from something called the rainbow empathy, though I'm not 100% sure of all the details. I just know that's what it's called, and it allows them to, well, I guess, be superheroes in some capacity.
Hmm.
So,
Can have you found out if anybody can just get this rainbow empathy?
I mean, the only real thing I found is that these superheroes are very far and few between. It's not like everybody can do it. It just
Yeah,
seems that whatever this rainbow empathy is, only a few select people have been able to become superheroes. How,
interesting.
yeah, yeah, it's very interesting for sure. Now, how do I say this? I don't want to become a hero because that's a lot of work, and I don't think I would be good because, as we've seen in comic books, once you become a superhero, it becomes very tough to balance out the superhero-ness and the regular day lives. And I don't know, I'm already jam packed with everything that I do, anyways. But I do, I do I'm wondering if I can help in some capacity. Not like full on fight, actual crime and
Hmm.
whatever these things are, like at the mall. But I'm
Yeah.
wondering if I can be of assistance and maybe make a difference without the superhero powers. Like I said, like the guy in the chair.
Yeah. Yeah. That could be interesting. I guess I wouldn't even know where to look. I mean, you've already stumbled this far down the Reddit holes, so like you might as well just like maybe there's something that says that there are people that are not heroes that help heroes, you know? I don't know. Maybe you can ask Kitsune Man whenever you meet up with him again. Hopefully
Yeah,
he's still here in town and he hasn't like gone off somewhere to a distant land or something. I don't know.
yeah. I would love to thank him in person too, but also ask him questions. But of course, I'm not gonna ask the invasive ones because like I don't need to know his identity because I don't want that information in case the bad guys come and get me and all that stuff. But but yeah, you know since that since that the incident at the mall, I've kind of had a different perspective. I didn't know that superheroes were an actual thing. I thought they just were confined to the pages of the comic books and the graphic novels and the screens of the movies and stuff like that. So it's
Man,
kind of interesting.
yeah. It if you've ever watched that movie uh Unshakable, we're going copyright instead of
Yes.
they talk about that in the movies too, where they've had heroes that it's like they've been brought out of the comic books into real life. Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, we're living in an unshakable world. This is, whoa, that kind of blew my mind a little bit just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, now now they're saying that there could be this, you called it ignorance in the high schools. I mean, the term ignorance in high schools can kind of sort of go together sometimes, but that's normally just teenage kids.
Right.
But like, it's affecting staff members too.
You know, I from the reports from the little that I've been able to cobble together, it's more so students feeling like senses of worry and dread. They look tired. And, again, this one's a little personal to me too, because I work at the school.
Yeah.
And again, at first I just chalked it up to, teenage academia where, kids, they go to school, it's long periods a day, they get tired, with all the stuff they're doing. But lately it's been very, I don't know what's the word. There's an underlying sense of worry and an underlying sense of self-expression kind of being suppressed, and I don't know why. I mean,
Hmm.
there are I'll be honest with you, there are students that I have that are normally very outgoing and have marched to the beat of their own drum, but it seems that the energy and the spirit of that is kind of dwindling. And not to make a full entire ignorance is here and that's why it's happening, but I don't know. I want to keep investigating it. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do so. Maybe what I've been trying to do is seeing if I can find any heroes, if we have any here in Chrysalis Bay, who will go take a look at it. So, but I digress. I don't mean to bore you. I know that it's getting late. So how about I take you home? And especially
Sure.
since my car in the trunk can fit all that extra food. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm coming over tomorrow night because I see that Abuelita gave you that flan, and I love it. And she never lets me have any, so
Yeah.
you're gonna share it with me.
She gave me so much food this time. Oh,
You know what? We don't say much because I don't tell your business like that to her. But abuelitas be knowing, they know, so they be knowing things.
yeah. Yeah, I have been getting uh weird hours recently. And so like the hunger hits hard. She knows. She must have felt it in the wind or something.
Yeah, that she did. Well, I'll take you home, my friend. And so Miguel gets up, you get up, you say your goodbyes to all the family members, Abuelita gives you one more giant hug and a big old kiss on your forehead, tells you that she'll see you next Friday at the next dinner, and then Miguel drives you home. Phineas, as you are in the passenger seat in Miguel's car, which is a convertible with the top down, it is a very night and day experience, literally, as what is normally a bustling scenery throughout the day, the evening offers a more relaxed environment and a very beautiful sense of serenity and zen, so to speak, as you are taking in the more quieted tones of the, street lamps and the shops closing for the evening, the hustle and bustle of this ginormous metropolis on an island. It's very, very beautiful at night that you can take in that sense of quiet and that sense of peace as the night goes on, as everyone prepares for the next day as they go to sleep. Miguel pulls up to your house, helps you take the food to your front door, helps you put it in the fridge, and Miguel just gives you a big old hug and just says, "I'm glad you came tonight, my friend. And, if you need anything, I'm only a phone call away."
Oh, I know. Or FaceTimes. And I wouldn't miss the Fridays. That would be devastating if I did.
Yeah, I think, yeah, especially Abuelita would probably come get you if you could. If you weren't there, I think she would manage to find a way to come grab you from the house, whether you wanted to or not, anyways.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah. But, anyways, I will talk to you later. Have a good night. And Miguel exits the house, gives a little bit of one more wave, closes your door, and you find yourself back at, in your house on your own. Lots of food in the fridge. And you kind of just go to your bed. You kind of do your nightly routine. And as you lay there, going over the events of the night, one thing is for certain. If the report, well, two things are for certain. Number one, your bond with Miguel is something that has gotten through to you and has gotten, you through some tougher times within the 2 years of friendship that you guys have had. And the other thing that is also important is that if these rumors and these reports are true about something going down at the high school, you and the crew may or may not have found your first step into figuring out more of what the heck is going on with the ignorance and the rainbow empathy and all that good stuff. So, as you try to drift off into dreamland, you are awoken by the sound of what seems to be some sort of like whirring, kind of like if you put a cell phone on a wooden table and leave it on vibrate, and then you just hear the vibration sounds hitting the table as the phone goes off. But you know that your phone is off. So as you turn to the direction that the sound is coming from, you see out on your patio with the small little table there, you see a metallic disc just sitting there. And you're just like, okay. As you get up to kind of
That's
look at
not
this,
mine.
yeah, that's not yours. So as you go kind of pull the sliding glass door open out into the balcony, you see that in more detail in this metallic disc is very chromatic in coloring. So the moonlight is reflecting off it. It is very rainbow. And you can see, despite it being a metallic disc, crudely painted on is a picture of our little alien friend Artio, the one that is with Mother all the time. So it's just a crudely drawn painting of Artio on it, and you're just like, okay. So
Pick this thing up. Does it have a answer button? What is how what it
So
Physics.
as you pick it up, you see a giant red button on it, and you're just like, it's blinking, and you're just like, well, okay, let me just click that and see what happens and all of that stuff. So the question is, do you click the button?
You know, yes. I've had enough curiosity with this thing. It's my time. Let's
Cool.
go.
Alrighty. So you click the button, and as you click the button, out pops a holographic image. First, you see RTO, whose like face is way too close to the camera of this thing, and then as he adjusts it, you see RTO in the forefront, and in the background, you see Mother. But on top of that, too, in the background, you also see a very dressed down version of Admiral Carmen. So Carmen is chilling with Mother as well. And so Mother approaches the camera on her end of things and just says, "Ah, my lovely Phineas, my child, it is very nice to see you again. I know it's been a little bit since we've talked, but I wanted to be able to have a quick chat with you and also to give you this lovely little creation that Artio made so you can get in contact with us at any time." And of course, in the background, you just see Carmen go, "What's up, Phineas?" Very completely different than her like more formal way that you guys met her on the airship. Now she's just like relaxed and everything, and she's like, "What's up?"
How goes it, everyone?
So Carmen is just chilling. "Oh, nothing. I'm just hanging out with Mother. I'm giving her some updates on some information that I found about." Yes, as Mother kind of begins to speak. We have I've been talking with Carmen here, and she's filled me in that there's been some activity in Chrysalis Bay. And I don't want to alarm you, Phineas, but it seems that your friend Miguel, I think is his name, has also been on the same path. Carmen in the back eating cookies. She's like, "Yeah, your friend has been running up a whole bunch of stuff in the search bars, and I've been kind of getting the pings of what he's been searching up, government and agency and everything. You know what? For not knowing a lot of information, your friend Miguel is very smart, Phineas. Good job on picking him as the friend," as she's like stuffing her face with food. "Yes, so it seems that your friend Miguel has been on the same, well, has told you the same thing that I'm about to, which is there's been some abnormal activity at the Chrysalis Bay High School. I fear that there might be ignorance afoot, or something of a more sinister nature, which I hope it isn't. I I will be talking to the others, but you were the first on my list. I was hoping, if you would be okay with it, would it be possible that you could go investigate a seems to be a at the very beginning stages, the low end of an ignorance influenced area, and I just want to make sure we can take care of it before things get out of control, more so than they already do."
That's what Miguel was making it sound like. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to look into anything else. I was going to ask him if he noticed anything different when he was at the school when it he first noticed that it happened. But
Very interesting. I hate to pry, Phineas, but could you relay to me what exactly Miguel was shared with you? And so, for all intents and purposes, Phineas, you're able to kind of tell Mother that all Miguel has been able to figure out is that rainbow empathy is what these heroes are able to use. Ignorance is the force they are fighting. But more particularly at the school, he noticed that the students and some of the faculty, their spirit and their energy has kind of dipped a little bit and all that kind of stuff. And so as you relay all this to Mother gets a very troubling look across her face. I fear that it has started. So we're gonna need to get on top of this as quickly as we possibly can. Phineas, I'm going to send you and the rest of the team to Chrysalis Bay High to see if you can figure out what the source of this ignorance is and possibly see if you can contain it, or in all intents and purposes find the source and change its heart so that way the energy of the school gets back to normal. I do warn you though, unlike the magician, which was more self-contained, I think sending you guys as you are is probably not going to be the best idea, especially since this is a building of academia and education, and having three random people on campus probably wouldn't be the best idea. So, with the help of Carmen, she has been able to. What was the term that you used, Carmen? Well, I have been able to accrue some identities that you guys and some roles you can take. That way, you basically you're gonna kind of go undercover because yeah, if three random people showed up to the school during business hours, you would be detained and be labeled as people who are trying to do things that where children are in the area, and let's just say it would not be great. But I've been able to procure some aliases, and then you can take a look to see which ones that you would like to do. And yeah, we could go from there. So, Mother kind of concludes it saying, Phineas, the information will be given to you very shortly, but please be very careful. If you need anything, you have this little disc that you can always get in contact with me. But please, you boys please be careful. I would love to see you again. And just don't, let's just say, don't take everything you see as face value. Sometimes ignorance affects people in different ways. So just be open minded to what's happening. But I hope you have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon. And then the disc kind of goes back onto the table. It kind of shakes a little bit, and out from, you know, there's a little slit that opens up in the side and kind of sounding like the sound of like a fax machine faxing things over. You just see like a dossier of paper come out of it. And on this little dossier is like a list of different aliases that you can pick from of going undercover to the high school and everything. So, yeah. So, as you look over this list, Phineas, there's a whole bunch of different things, but the three that kind of stand out to you is groundskeeper, a uh, geology teacher, and a theater uh, teacher as well, or at least like a secondary theater teacher as well, because it says that the main theater teacher, she is going on maternity leave very, very soon. But again, there's a whole bunch of aliases on here, but those are three that stick out to you.
Well, as much as that geology teacher would be, I think I might be able to get more info if I was the groundskeeper. And I know because I used to be, and currently outside of this game in real life, I actually am a groundskeeper. So I think I might end up choosing that one.
Sweet.
You'd be a wonky version of Groundskeeper Willie.
Love it. This is so fantastic. So, as you're going through the dossier, you're like, huh, groundskeeper sounds good. And as you put your finger on groundskeeper, the paper lights up a little bit, and in a puff of smoke, you all of a sudden you just see a box pop out of the smoke and just land on your balcony floor. And as you open up the box, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna let you describe. What does this disguise and credentials look like? What is your alias? Like, what is the undercover name going on? What does the uniform look like? You describe what's in this box for you.
There's actually a lot of stuff in there. Well, I mean, outside of the fact that there's clothing that looks a lot like a mechanic's. Uh, Coveralls, really? Whatever. Okay, fine. So I pull out a set of coveralls, like a good couple of sets of coveralls, and kind of rummage through there a little bit more. Well, I mean, at least I get to keep the hairstyle? Okay, that's pull out the wig, set it off to the side. All right, what else is in here? Uh it pull out a thing. Wha Who thought of the name James McFadden? I Okay, fine, whatever. Let's set that off to the side. Look through it a little bit more. Uh, okay. Oh, okay. So, well, at least I get to keep the mustache, but the lower goatee part? Really? Fine.
somewhere somewhere in the sometime somewhere in a mother's home base, Carmen, Admiral Carmen is laughing, is chuckling to herself.
Okay, well, I guess at least I get to keep all the rest of the everythings. Uh, Pull out a couple of uh, smaller pieces and uh, something that looks a lot similar to uh, the necklace that Carmen had when we first met her. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, well, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh, we'll we'll try that later. Uh, Pick up the box and kind of staring at it, turn it upside down, and give it a couple of shakes to make sure that nothing else has fallen out. I guess that's it. Awesome. So, uh, and then as I'm about ready to put the box down, this little piece of paper flies out, and I pick it up, and it shows, uh, like times that I'm supposed to get to, like when I'm supposed to be there, when I'm supposed to leave, all that stuff.
It
And I'm like,
tells you your hours.
man, we are really getting into this, huh? Okay. Cool. It's
Carmen
now
is
I've
very thorough. She's very thorough.
so thorough. All right, so I guess now I've got all of that. That's great. So I shut the box and could put it off to the side and be like, okay, so there we go. I guess I got all my stuff now. Oh, this is going to be so interesting. Oh,
Alrighty. So it is Friday. You put this down, you get to bed, you think about what's about to transpire. And we fast forward to Monday morning. So, Monday morning, you get into your attire, you find your way over to Chrysalis Bay High. So, Chrysalis Bay High is, there are a couple of high schools in the area. Of course, Chrysalis Bay is the big one, and this is also the largest one. So, think of Chrysalis Bay High is like what happens when you take a Texas high school, which is like acres upon acres of buildings, and you also throw in that this particular high school is also considered the mecca of like visual and performing arts school as well as regular academia. So think of this as a very, very large, very, very large theater musical school that also offers other things as well. So it's a lot of fun. So Vidius, as walk into the building in your whole entire groundskeeper role, um, you are met with a very, very preppy individual who is waiting at the front for you. She's a very petite woman, very like blonde hair kind of tied up in a bun and everything. She's wearing like a very pink tracksuit instead of like a pantsuit. So she is waiting over there. She got a big old clipboard. She got some glasses in her hand. She sees you coming. She sees you coming down and she's like, "Oh, hi there, honey. You must be our new groundskeeper. Where my man is? My name is Miss Molly, and I am the principal of this school. And I am so happy that you are here, darling. Um, I know it might seem a little bit much, especially for groundskeeper, but I want to make sure that any employee that is at my school is treated as such with the dignity and respect because my groundskeeper team, they do a lot, and I know that you gonna fit right in, darling. This is very southern, like lady, like totally. She's not gonna curse at you, but if she gives you a bless your heart, you better run. You better like check all your life. Listen, I have a friend who grew up in the South, and I love her dearly. I love her mama too. But anytime a Southern lady, especially if it's a Southern black lady, tells you, "Oh, sweetie, bless your heart," you better question all your life choices you made up to this point. That is the craziest thing to be told out of love from any Southern lady. You're just like, I think she just read me. Oh my gosh. But anyways, Miss Molly here is just like, "So, Mr." And she kind of adjusts her glasses. "Mr. James McFadden, sweetie, I think darling, you're gonna fit in right in here. Let me oh, I'm sorry. I'm just running my I'm Miss Golly Almighty. I'm just running my mouth out here. It's nice to meet you. Before I give you the tour, is there any questions that you wanted me to answer based on your description of the job, when you applied for it and all the things that goes with it?"
I don't think so. I mean, this is pretty straightforward for a groundskeeping job.
Splendid. Well, okay. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of a tour real quick. First, I'm gonna take you to where you mostly gonna be working, and then I'll give you a little bit of the tour of the school, baby. So she kind of she walks you through. You are on the outside. You walk through. As you turn the corner, you just see on the horizon just a large area of buildings, and then the football field and everything. And as she's like walking, she's like speed walking instead of heels. She's wearing like Skechers and things like the etchers, if you will. And she's like, forgive me in my current look right now. Normally, a lot of principals like to dress in pantsuits and things like that. And I am all for women empowerment in a pantsuit because who doesn't love a woman in a pantsuit? But because of how big this school is and all the running around I do, I prefer to be in this tracksuit. So I get my steps in, if you know what I'm saying. But as she's talking and giving you this little bit, it's after about 10 minutes of walking, she places you in what seems to be the central courtyard of the high school. And she said, "Now, this is where you will be mostly primarily working in. As you can see, our courtyard is the pride, at least to me, is the pride and joy of our high school. Now, I know a lot of the boys here say that the football team and all the athletics is cool and everything, which, you know, go team and all that. But I find the beauty in the more smaller things. And you are going to play a essential part in making sure that this stays beautiful." And as you look out, Phineas, this courtyard is a giant garden, lots of plants, lots of flora, lots of plants to be taken care of. Now, from your resume that I received, you have some experience with the green thumb, or with being a green thumb. And honestly, I hired you immediately just based off that part because I love all the people that had the job before, but they just didn't have the what's the word the kids are using now these days? Je ne sais quoi or something. I don't know. They didn't have a green thumb. And when on your resume it said that you were in charge of the botanical garden out in California for, you know, another college, for one of the colleges out there, I knew that I had to hire you right away, baby, because I need somebody like that who not only gonna keep these flowers and plants alive, but they're gonna do something beautiful with it.
That's actually a huge passion of mine.
Splendid. And you know what? I never look down on anybody because I believe that you need to find that passion in your life. And in whatever it is that you want to do with life, I say go for it because it brings you happiness. And, all the other extra things, the money, the fame, all that stuff will come and go. But at the end of the day, if you are happy with what you do and it brings you joy in life and you like sharing that joy with the people you love, then baby, that's all there is to it. And I need somebody like that. So, Mr. McFadden, I can already tell that you already love doing this, so of course I hired you. But is there anything that you need from me to make your job a lot easier?
No, ma'am. Actually, everything should be pretty straightforward. I guess the only thing I could think of is where would would you like me to bring my own tools, or do you have anything to provide?
You know what? Let me think. Now, the school can provide you with all sorts of tools that you need, but I also understand, at least from what I've been able to research, that professionals in this line of work sometimes love to use their own tools because it is easier for them. But on top of that, it also is very meaningful and special to them. And there's all very superstitious that their own tools help spread the love to the plants and flowers. So whatever, I am okay, baby. Either way, whether you want to use the tools of the school or if you have your own, I can also, if we don't have anything that you're looking for, then I'll be more than happy to get that ordered and taken care for you as well. Because let me tell you, being a part of this big school, we got a budget, honey. And but I make sure that we spend it wisely. So if there's anything that you need, the school can provide it to you. And if the school doesn't have it, or if you needed extra things that the school doesn't have right now on grounds, I can always put in something for you, baby, and do it and get it to you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
My pleasure. Well, before I get you started on your first day, I do want to give you a little bit of a tour of the school. So if you would, humor me for about 30 more minutes, I wanted to just get you the lay of the land, show you where the staff lounge is, where it's just not only for teachers, but it's for all, members of staff, whether it be credentialed, vocational, all that stuff. I believe that everybody needs to be able to work together, and regardless of what position and what you do at this school. So if you follow me this way, I'll show you the best part where you can get your food. I believe, last I checked, there are 20 different options for you to get food here on this campus in our cafeteria. Again, I am drawing from personal experience because Texas high schools, they are pretty much have their own like giant food court when it comes to cafeterias because there's a lot of students in these Texas schools. So some of the higher end ones is basically like a mall food court. So Phineas, as you are walking with Miss Molly through the school, and she's giving you the tour of where everything is, like who to contact, all this stuff, you kind of are listening, but you are paying attention to you're paying attention to something else. As you are walking through the different walkways and the hallways of the school, and you're kind of taking in the sights and the sounds of, your where you're going to end up being over the next couple of however long this is going to take, you notice that the energy level with the students that you're passing by is very abnormal. I mean, you still hear lots of students talking in the hallways as, the docile tones of lockers slamming and people talking in a hallway as a high school would. But you notice that a lot of the facial expressions on the students that you're passing by, there's just a sense of either worry, dread, or like some sort of frustration slash anger plastered on these faces.
Interesting. Okay. It's not like how I used to be in high school, but all right. We'll keep that noted.
So, as you are taking a look at all of this, Ms. Molly again continues to give you the tour, and then she ends the tour by taking you to the um taking you to the gym, and she's like, "Now, where is that man? I swear I can never find. Ah, there he is." And Miss Molly is just like, "Oh, Coach, you over here, darling. I want you to meet our new faculty. Well, not faculty. I want you to meet our new member of campus." So, walking towards you, Phineas, is a very is a tall and in shape individual. If you are thinking of like your typical 80s PE coach with the short shorts and the whistle and the polo shirt going on number, um, he walks over as he is kind of watching the kids play basketball in the gym. This individual walks over to you and Miss Molly. Miss Molly said, "Now, Mr. McFadden, this is going to be your liaison, or the person that is going to, I don't want to say I'm pawning him off on you, but he is going to be the staff member that is going to kind of show you the ins and outs over the next couple of weeks as you get your feet wet here at Chrysalis Bay High." And this individual sticks out his hand, is like, "Well, Coach Alejandro Hernandez, it is very nice to meet you, my friend. And your name is Mr. McFadden." Uh, and kind of squinting at your name tag, "James McFadden. Would you like to be called Mr. McFadden, or does James work for you?"
Whatever makes you feel good.
Oh, I like you already, James. Anyways, and he kind of sticks out his hand and shakes it. It's like, "I will be the person to show you the ins and outs here. Miss Molly, I think I could take it from here." "Well, thank you, Coach. I really appreciate it. Um, I will be in my office, or you'll see me running around the school taking care of lots of things. I need to make sure I start getting ready because our our sh- our performing arts showcase is coming up very soon." And as soon as she turns, she sees she's looking out in the hallway. She's like, "Excuse me." And then all of a sudden her tone shifts from like a very demure like southern lady, and then it goes into full on, "Now, ladies, what did I tell you? You better pull that spaghetti strap up. I told you not to be wearing that in here. There is a dress code." Goes on full on like yelling authority mode and everything. So Miss Molly's inspiration comes from, and I'm pulling from some very niche stuff. Anybody who has seen The Proud Family, there is that principal who is very quiet when she talks, and then when she needs to get the attention of the characters, her completely switches into yelling. So an example would be, she's like, "Now, children, please." I said quiet in the Neanderthals.
Yep.
So this is exactly what Miss Molly is. She is very sweet and demure, but she's like, get yourself over here. She is no nonsense when it comes to following the rules. So as she leaves to go deal with dress code violations and all that good stuff, Coach Alejandro is just like, I apologize for all of that. Trust me, she is actually a really good person, but she tends to be overzealous when it comes to certain things. But no, you'll get used to it. And honestly, if you can make it to Christmas, trust me, the Christmas staff party and those bonuses, cha-ching. Anyways, that's besides the point. So, Mr. McFadden, you are the new groundskeeper. I'm actually, mm, I'm actually kind of excited because, don't mind me. Not to say that I heard things, but you were a groundskeeper for one of the colleges out in California. That is mighty impressive.
Yeah. Did stuff for California Tech, actually.
Oh, so you were at Cali Tech. Interesting. My daughter wants to go there when she graduates, so maybe you could put in a good word for her. And of course, he just gives a big old chuckle and gives you like a friendly but a very hard pat on the back.
That one that kind of takes your breath away. You're like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh man. Well, um, actually, I don't know if Miss Molly has told you, but and Coach Alejandro kind of looks around. I want to get your first impression, Mr. James. Have you noticed anything strange about the students here so far?
I mean, they seem a little down. I haven't been in a I haven't been to high school in a good probably 15, 20 years, but I don't remember kids looking like that back in the day.
Right. Okay. So the only reason I ask you that, James, is because of the fact that normally our showcase, which is coming up in about 2 weeks or so, of course, the students put a little bit of pressure on themselves because this is also where a lot of the colleges come out, especially the performing art colleges around Chrysalis Bay, and they want to look at a showcase, and then some of the students can get accepted into these schools and get scholarships and everything. It is fantastic. But I know you haven't been here. I know it's your first day, but something seems off this year about the students. They seem a little bit more down, and I'm not trying to blame people. I love him dearly. But I think, and you didn't hear this from me. I think Mr. Dorian is kind of pushing the students a little too hard for the showcase. But that's just me. What do I know? I'm just the PE coach.
And which one is Mr. Dorian?
Actually, I could if I could find him and take. I know where he's probably at right now. So why don't you follow me? And he blows his whistle. Alrighty, hit the showers, kids. It is time to go to your next. It's almost time for lunch, so go ahead and get your stuff and then head on out. Just give me a couple minutes so I can get these kids out for lunch, and then I'll walk you over to Mr. Dorian. And
Sure.
so a couple minutes passes by. The kids leave the locker room. They get changed. Coach meets you outside of the gym. And it's like, all right, if you would be so kind to follow me. And so you two begin walking through the hallways. There are kids in the hallways eating lunch, cafeteria, all that good stuff. And then you happen to find your way into the performing and visual arts wing of the school. So this is classroom filled with, small theater rooms, uh, some digital media stuff. There is a studio, like a music studio, all sorts of stuff with like recording equipment. There's also a engineering lab for people who want to create stuff and things like that. So very, very nice. But as you are walking, you get closer to where coach is taking you, which is the music room. So Mr. Dorian is in charge of the music program here at the school. But as you and coach are kind of walking through the halls, you are about, I would say, about like 4 or 5 feet away from your destination in the music room when all of a sudden the two of you see the door slam open, and coming out of this door happens to be a student. So this student, of course, is caramel complexioned, about 5'6", backpack strung across their back. And they storm out of the room and they just turn around to the door, and you just hear them yell, "That is not fair, Mr. Dorian. How is it that we are supposed to be able to perform to the best of our ability if you keep giving us these rules and these songs?" I was like, this is not what we want. And of course, from inside of the classroom, you just hear a voice is like, "Sam, I already told you, you must follow order And there has to be structure when it comes to performing. If you do not follow the structure, you are not going to be able to perform very well. So please, for the love of Beethoven, please do not keep fighting me on this. If you keep going at this rate, you are not going to get anywhere, Sam. And Sam just turns around and is like, whatever, Mr. Dorian. I'm going to still perform what I want to at the showcase. And if I have to be dragged out kicking and screaming, I will. And Sam kind of just turns around, walks towards you, and just without paying attention, kind of bumps into you into Coach. And it's like, oh, I'm very sorry, Coach. Oh, I'm sorry. You must be new here. It's lunchtime. I gotta go meet my friends and go eat. And you just see Sam walking off towards, the other building where the cafeteria is at. And you just look, Phineas, you just look at Coach, who kind of just presses, his fingers on the temples and just starts massaging them. I swear it's never a dull moment between Felix and Sam. They're always at each other's throats. Anyways, why don't I take you inside so you can meet Mr. Dorian yourself. So, Phineas, as you and Coach enter the room, you cross the threshold of the door and you find yourself in one of the music rooms here on the, performing and into this particular part of the arts building. So, as you walk into this music room, you are greeted with, well, you are greeted with the stuff that you would normally find in a music room, especially in a high school, but it's still pretty nice and cool. It's pretty nice and it has all the good accoutrement, if you will, for all of this. So as you and Coach walk into the room, of course, there are desks lined up. And then, of course, towards the front end of the room is a very beautiful, standard grand piano, as well as a lot of other instruments that line the walls: violins, cellos, trombones, trumpets, music stands. There is a chalkboard with your standard like music, brackets with the notes and everything. You see bookshelves filled with music theory stuff. This is pretty swanky for a high school music room, I must say. But you also find kind of cleaning up around the room is a little bit of an older man. He is a little bit, doesn't look super super old, but he looks to be more distinguished. He is dressed in a coat with a long shirt and a tie ensemble, wearing very spectacled glasses. And of course, the man in front of you could probably put together from the conversation you just witnessed and heard between Sam, is Mr. Felix Dorian. So Coach takes you in. This is like, Felix, I wanted to introduce you to our new constituent here, Mr. James McFadden. He is our new groundskeeper, and I was just taking him to meet everyone. Yeah, I was taking him to meet all the staff here, and So Felix turns around to both you, Phineas, and to Coach, and just eyes you up and down and says, "Well, it is my pleasure that you're here, and I'm kind of glad. And I apologize for the conversation. You see, because I love all my students, but Sam, he's a little bit of a what is the term that is the right term? He's a little bit rebellious, if you will, and unfortunately, I think he's going to find out very quickly that rebellion, especially when it comes to music, isn't going to get him pretty far, unfortunately. But where are my manners? I am, well, I mean, the kids call me Mr. Dorian, but I am Dr. Felix Dorian. Uh, I am a professor of music back in Cambridge, but I'm here to teach high school because high school seemed to be a lot of fun after I graduated. So it's a pleasure to meet you. And he kind of sticks his hand out to you, Phineas.
Reaching back out to grab his hand with a. I've never really been one for like trying to crush someone's hand, but I give a good firm handshake. Um, Reaching out to give a firm handshake. James McFadden, I'm the new groundskeeper.
Well, he shakes your hand, retreats his hand. Quite splendid indeed. Groundskeeping is very important work, especially for maintaining order and structure, especially given the fact that we are working with teenagers. So I applaud you, Mr. McFadden, and I'm excited to see what you can do to beautify the campus. And as now, sorry, I will be talking and cleaning up as well. Sam led a little bit of a mess, but it is okay, I think. Well, and so as Felix as Mr. Dorian continues to clean up the room, he kind of gets out of earshot of you and Coach. Coach kind of leans into you, Phineas. Mr. McFadden, please forgive Mr. Dorian again. He pretentious is not the word. He's actually really not like that. He doesn't let his status be his personality trait. But I just between me and you, he kind of puts a lot of the pressure on the kids, and he's very strict when it comes to how performances need to be for the music program here, both vocally and instrumental wise as well. You know, I can hear you, Alejandro, and we've talked about this before. If you're gonna say something, please at least say it loud so I can hear and tell you that you are wrong, my friend. Kind of erupting into a chuckle. And please, before you say anything, make sure that you continue to call me Mr. Dorian at school. I don't need the students to be, I don't need the students to be calling me Felix. That's only for you, especially when we both get home. Yeah, I know. I know. I do know, but you Felix, you can be a little more nicer to Sam. Sam is trying his best, and I think you might be pushing him a little bit hard to Alejandro. We have talked about this on many occasions before. These students need to learn that they need to follow the order and the structure when it comes to their performances. Because when they get older, when they go into the professional world, whether it be theater or an orchestra or any form of performance or visual arts, if they do not confine to those rules, they are going to find out really quickly that they are not going to land the jobs that they think they are going to because they cannot follow the structure and the traditions that decades and centuries even of music has provided. I am just trying to get them to be there. I understand that, Felix, but nothing, Alejandro. I'm I don't know how many times we are going to have this conversation. You cannot change my mind. And in actually honesty, like I've told you before, I think it would behoove you to also kind of fall into line with that. I know nothing about teaching PE, but you have certain rules and structures that the kids need to follow. So what makes it different of what how I do it? Well, it's very true. There are certain rules that I follow with the kids I teach when I teach them PE. But Felix, they're playing games. These kids actually are doing talented things with instruments and their voice that I can't even imagine. But I'm also a believer that the freedom of expression does not pay the bills. And I am trying to get them prepared for the real world. It might be coming off as strict to you, but I am trying to get them to understand this. I understand that, Felix, but nothing. I am done having this conversation with you. And Phineas, as you kind of see this uh, more forceful tone coming out of Felix Dorian, Felix talking to Coach Alejandro with all of this, you see you see Dorian's form begin to glitch a little bit, kind of like glitch in the system a little bit, kind of like what's like the cybernetic glitches that you see when it comes to like holograms and technology stuff. You see him glitch a little bit, and you are able to kind of get a glimpse of something that doesn't sit right with you. So as Coach and Dorian are having this, Mr. Dorian are having this conversation, you notice that Mr. Dorian's form glitches a little bit. And as it glitches, you are able to see for a brief moment a very shadowy figure kind of take place in of Mr. Dorian. In his place, you see what looks to be a more shadowy figure, if that makes sense. You see kind of a, well, all intents and purposes, you see where Mr. Dorian was now stands a slight image of a full on knight in suit of armor holding a conductor's wand. And it is yeah, it's not a fun sight. It's not a fun sight. But within that brief, in this knight armor, you see that it's very obsidian in cover, very black knight of the round table, if you will, from Arthurian legends and stuff like that. And with as quickly as it came, it the form of, Mr. Dorian in this more like knightly conductor form goes away, and popping back out is the regular form of Mr. Dorian. So, Phineas, as you kind of take that in, for all intents and purposes, it doesn't seem that Coach noticed anything per se when it came to all of that. Um, and so, yeah, so Phineas, you get the sense that, oh, okay, so not the reports that the reports that Miguel was able to find, as well as what Mother was able to tell you from the conversation over the weekend, you come to an understanding that you realize that you think you might have found the source of what is happening here at Chrysalis Bay High. And that is where we're going to end our session tonight. So,
Good cliffhanger.
yes, I love it so much. I this was a fun one. This was a for sure a fun one. I was really excited to get to this point, and now we are officially in the second arc or second chapter. We got to do a little bit more of character development between, Phineas and Miguel, and get to shed light on, the more personal time that you get to spend outside of being a hero. But now we are officially in it. What exactly is the goal? What is happening? How is Mr. Dorian like controlling the students? Like, what is happening? Well, you won't have to wait too long, because we will be back in 2 weeks on Saturday, May 31st. Same time as usual, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, as we continue chapter 2 of our adventure. So, before we wrap up, I just want to do a little bit of the end housekeeping, so to speak. First and foremost, I would like to thank my player, my friend JT, for being here this evening. I'm glad that you were able to be here. And, we got to, I'm excited to come back in 2 weeks and we can get the rest of the crew here to kind of start in this adventure. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you for being here tonight, my friend.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is I liked how this was going. I was a little like, how are we gonna go about doing this? And then every time you introduced a new character, I was like, that might be the one. No, that might be the one. No, that might be the one. And then I was like, okay, all right. So, but there might be more in the background. I never know.
Well, and then the cool thing is as we continue with this chapter, you guys will find out, just like you did with the magician, that sometimes not everything is all as it seems. So everybody needs to come back in 2 weeks as we continue our second chapter, Resonance Rewritten. Honestly, yes, I would like to point out some comments in the chat too. My experience in choir helped pinpoint who the baddie is. Yeah, I love this game because I'm having a great time creating these villains because they're not evil for being the sake of evil. Like in the real world, ignorance sometimes blinds people to the truth or it warps their perceptions on certain things. So I'm really excited. This is going to be a fun one and I can't wait to come back in 2 weeks. But I also want to give thanks to the head of Halfling Wizard Productions, Will, for allowing me to continue to tell the story here on this platform. And yeah, we will be back again on Saturday, May 31st, same time, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, to continue our adventure here on the Queers. So, from myself, JT, and the rest of my team, my players for Queers. Remember, take care of yourself, love one another, never be afraid to be who you are, and stand in your truth. So, have a good evening. We love you. Take care, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. But until then, ta ta for now. Mwah.
Tiny robes he's wearing so fine, in the tavern sipping on wine, knows the secrets of the old halfling wizard never told. Mystic wand and a pointed hat, talks to people about this and that, sneaky tricks and a wink in his eye. Halfling wizard makes the hours fly. Oh, halfling wizard in the night, casting spells to the moonlight. He can talk and he can know, in his world the magic grows. Down the road in evening light, he'll engage you, that's his delight. Readers of the stars he seeks, in a crowd he's sure to speak.